Awesome.
All right, we are good. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming. I'm excited to kind of share all this with you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason Vanna. I am the founder and CEO of Shift Agency. Basically, we are a brand positioning agency. So we come into kind of mid-level, enterprise level companies and help them figure out what makes them different. And then how do you take that uniqueness and expand it through every aspect of your business so that your customers feel your differentiation and know really why they should choose you. So today, really what I want to do, we're going to cover a lot of, I saw some of the stuff you guys put in the chat. Well, I'll make sure we cover some of that. But really what we're talking about is how do you build a brand that resonates with the right people and attracts them to you so that you spend less on sales, less on marketing, but you're drawing and attracting the right people. Before we jump into that and give you tools and tactics and all that kind of stuff, I think the first step we need to talk about is what actually is a brand. I think a lot of business founders, a lot of leaders, even a lot of marketers don't actually understand what a brand is. Kind of the typical responses when we talk about brand are it's a logo, it's fonts, colors. Maybe if they're more progressive, they say it's a message or it's a feeling or experience. And those are all aspects of a brand that you need to build. But ultimately, I kind of use the definition from Marty Neumeier. Marty Neumeier is kind of considered the godfather of modern branding. He's worked with companies like Apple and Nike and all the biggest companies that have solid brands he's worked with. He's written a lot of books on branding. So if you want more on branding, look up Marty Neumeier. His name's on the screen. He's got a bunch of books on Amazon you can get. But his definition of a brand is that it's the gut feeling people have about you, your product, or your business. It's all about perception. And it's something that your brand is something that actually lives in the minds of your ideal customers, which means a brand actually isn't something you build, it's something you influence. And it's influenced by every interaction that they have with your company. So every time they visit your website, they see your content, they call in, they visit, they have your product or service, they hear about your product or service, they contact customer service or support, they do the trial offer of your SaaS product, whatever it is that you're selling, every interaction builds a perception in their mind. And so brand then is the kind of the culmination of all of those perceptions and how they perceive you. Let me give you an example of what I mean by this. So most of you here, I'm sure, have heard of State Farm. State Farm is trying to build a brand that they are a good neighbor. If you look at any of their ads, it is, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I know the jingle, I know their slogan that well that I can recite it off the top of my head. Most of you probably can too. That's the brand they want to build. But when it comes to branding, it really is every aspect of your company builds that brand in their mind. So my family have been loyal State Farm customers for decades. My mom purchased my grandparents' house when they passed away. They've owned that house. It's been in the family since the 60s. It's been insured by State Farm since the 60s. All of my stuff is insured by State Farm. All of our vehicles, boats, trailers we've got vacation property. All of that's been insured by State Farm for the entire extended family, grandparents, brothers and sisters. Like there's probably 100 of our family members that use State Farm. The house has been insured by State Farm since the 60s. No claims against the house at all in the time that my grandparents were there or that my mom's owned it, except in the last 5 years. She's had kind of just a string of bad luck where there was damage to the roof that needed to be repaired. The hot water heater burst and flooded her basement. And most recently, there was a windstorm that went through and ripped siding off the house. She was told when she went to submit the claim for the siding If you submit this, State Farm will drop you. You will no longer be able to be a customer of State Farm. So their policy gives one perception of the company while their marketing gives another. State Farm's brand in my mind now is not "you're a good neighbor." State Farm's brand in my mind is "three strikes and you're out." That we will drop an elderly lady simply because she had a string of bad luck in the last 5 years. So when we talk about brand, that's really what we're talking about. It is a perception. And it is that easy to either build it or ruin it based on an interaction with your company. And so I tell our clients all the time, I post this on LinkedIn all the time, that your brand really is everything within your company. It's the customer facing side of your business strategy. State Farm's policies, which most people would say that's not a branding issue, that's a legal issue, that is an operational issue, that's not a branding issue. But their policies very much build their brand in the minds of their ideal customers. We've had other family members who have, like, they had a house fire and State Farm was like, "Here's your check, we're done with you. Everything you have with us is gone." So in the midst of trying to rebuild their home from having a fire, they now don't have car insurance. They didn't have, nothing was insured anymore because that was State Farm's policy. 3 strikes, you're out. So that's what I mean by this is a gut feeling and it is a perception. Everything in your company builds or takes away from that brand. It is owned by your customers and it is influenced by you. So one of the ways that you can build this brand or influence this brand, the most effective way, is to know your ideal customers. The more that you know them, the better this brand is going to be. And so when we talk brand, there's kind of multiple components to it. What I've got up on the screen is like the process we take our clients through. Your brand substance, or what I also call your internal brand: purpose, vision, mission, values. Your positioning, which is who are you going after? Who are your competitors? What's your differentiation? And then your brand expression is your personality, your voice, and your message and story. And then you get into visual expression, which is design, website, logos, fonts, colors, what most people see as a brand. So today, what we're talking about is audience and personality. How do you get to know your ideal customers and create a personality that's going to attract them? Knowing your ideal customers is the ultimate business hack. Like, I say this a lot because the more you know them, the more you're going to get answers to every business question that you have. Most B2B companies, especially companies going after enterprise level customers, they have a buyer persona. Some of you probably have one within your marketing department. And typically a buyer persona is demographic and psychographic information. What companies are they from? How much money do they make? What are their job titles? What industry are they in? What are their hobbies? What are their likes and dislikes? That tends to be what most companies know about their ideal customers. And when I talk with prospective clients that are like, "Yeah, we know our ideal customers," I always ask them, like, "Okay, tell me what you know." And if all they have are demographic and psychographic information, I turn around and ask them, "How does that help you create content for your company? How does that help you write marketing copy?" If I know that my ideal customers, like the job title I'm going after, if I know that they make $200,000 a year, how does that help me understand anything about them? What's going to attract them? What's going to help them, like, choose us? It doesn't. And so most companies just don't know their ideal customers. What you need to know about them in order to build a brand that attracts them is, yes, demographic and psychographic. That's going to help you with targeting, like Google ads and PPC ads. But when it comes to everything else, like what new features should you release for your product? How should your customer service be answering the telephones? How should your salespeople be sending emails, like cold emails to prospects? What should be in that message? Understanding your ideal customers at a deeper level answers those questions. So when we do this with our clients, what we're after is demographic and psychographic. We're after their personality. Who are they as individuals? What are the key points of their personality? What challenges do they face, and how do those challenges make them feel? So I'm working with a client right now that does basically business consulting. They come into mainly construction style companies and help them to build processes that allow the founder to kind of step out of the company. And what we found out in the process was that their ideal customers are the kind of, I'm going to figure this out myself. I've built my own business. I know what I'm doing. I've hit a problem. I'm going to try to figure it out myself, but they don't know how to. And that not knowing how to makes them feel like I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't have what it takes anymore. Maybe I should shut down the business. Understanding how that challenge makes them feel allows our customers or our clients then to come in with the right messaging, the right content that's going to meet them where they're really at and help them pull their customer further to where they want to be. You also want to know their ideal outcomes. What are they after? And a lot of companies might have this in their buyer persona. And what I've seen is it tends to be like, well, they just want to make this more streamlined. That's great, but that's not really a deep outcome that they're after. So using that example that I shared with you, that client, what we found is their customer's outcome is not a streamlined company. It's not that everything flows better. It's they want to step out of the company. They want to have the company working so well that they're not in the day-to-day operations anymore. Well, understanding that outcome, yes, you need processes. Yes, you need to streamline operations. Those are all steps in the journey. But what they really need to hear is, we're going to help you step out of your company and have your company still grow. You need to understand their motivations. I like to explain it this way. We all have pain points in our lives and in our businesses, but not all of those pain points are powerful enough to make us want to put money to it to solve it. So I'm a founder myself. There are pain points in my business, and I get DMs and I get people trying to get me on a call saying, I can solve this pain point for you. And I'm like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal right now. Like, I'm fine with the duct tape and paperclip solution that we've come up with. It's not painful enough for me. And so understanding what's going to get them to say, this is so painful, take my money to solve this. You want to know the buyer's journey, the steps they take to go from, I don't have a problem, to hurry up and take my money and solve this because I'm done with this problem. What is that journey that they go on? And then customer DNA. For me, I define it this way. These are the 3 to 5 defining attributes of your ideal customers. What is that common thread among all of them that really ultimately defines who they are and helps you with your marketing? So for us at Shift, they are founders. They have a successful product or service. So they have clients, they've seen success from it. They're in transition, whether it's new market, new client, new product or service, new leadership, or they've experienced flatline growth and they don't know how to get to that next level. And they have either a very small marketing team or no marketing team. No matter what client we have in any industry, those kind of attributes define them. Know that information. This is going to help you with all marketing, sales, product, operations, every question you have about your company. The more you know, the better you will be able to answer those questions.
Now, hey Jason, just really quick, sorry. We got to, it's so people first, right? Like so people first. Like that. But quick thing from Kyle in the chat. This is a really good question. If you want to defer this, because you're going to talk about it later, please do. But basically, how often do you see clients, embracing this? deploying it across touch points, but failed to embed the principles across the remaining touch points as CS, sales, etc. Like the whole business doesn't embrace it, basically.
Yeah. So what we found is like enterprise level, most of them, because leadership is a little hesitant or they don't really understand what brand is. They've been a predominantly sales focused. They use a sales focused growth model. They tend to not implement it across the company. I've also found that like when brand is owned by marketing, it tends to stay confined to marketing, meaning the more that marketing is responsible for it and it's not really the CEO or the chief branding officer that owns it, when it's the CMO or marketing director, depending on how big your company is, it tends to be seen as just a marketing thing. And what I found is most marketing or departments don't have the authority to go into operations, product, or sales and say, hey, we need to change this because you're giving the wrong perception. Usually those departments are siloed and it's like, stick where you're at. Marketing, that is your domain. You do it, but don't tell us what to do. What I found is in more of the founder-led kind of smaller to mid-range companies, they do tend to implement it across the company because they understand, like the founder understands that this is something that actually will help them. We also use more of a collaborative approach in building brands. So like when we do this, we require someone from the C-suite or the founder in the workshops. We require sales, marketing, operations, and product and customer service within the workshops while we're building it and involved in the process. One, some of it is just like marketing has some insights, sales has others, product has others. And what happens in most bigger companies is those departments never get together and talk about the insights that they've seen. So your marketing is tailored maybe to a pain point that sales is like, this is actually the pain point that gets them to convert. And there's this kind of siloed effect. So we require at least leaders from each one of those departments. And what we found is when that happens, and like sales is just as invested in building the brand as marketing is, then it gets implemented better. So it should be a whole company initiative.
It's exactly spot on. Just a quick thing in this and then keep going because I know you're going to get really deep. I led a branding exercise, a rebrand, not exercise, but a whole initiative at Drift, like a huge brand refresh. The CEO drove it, David Cancel. I gave a weekly executive meeting update where it wasn't just an update, it was an involved session with all the other functional leaders over the course of 4 months to include the whole company in this. And then I did something separate with the CEO. So, I mean, not exactly maybe your process, Jason, but it's exactly what I witnessed at Drift. And it worked well because everyone was bought in. Everyone.
Well, and Drift is a great example. I actually didn't know, Mark, that, well, before we had the talk about this session, I didn't realize you were the one behind it because it was coming from David. And I had been following David on LinkedIn, and Dave Gerhardt, I had been following on LinkedIn for a while. So I saw kind of the rebrand and the refresh coming out and it hitting marketing and all that. And Drift is a perfect example I use with clients because the whole company is aligned behind their differentiation, and you feel it on the website, in sales, you feel it in the content that's being put out. It is a concerted effort across the whole company. And when you do that, so Lucid Press did a study on on brand consistency. And what they found is that no other changes. You're not changing sales, you're not changing marketing, you're not doing any other campaigns, you haven't changed your product at all. Just being consistent with your brand messaging, your brand look, that experience and that feel, being consistent across every touch point someone has with your company, that in and of itself will raise revenue by 23%, changing nothing else in the company. That's how powerful branding is, because branding is it's not a marketing tactic. It really is. It's hate to say it this way, but it's a psychological tactic. It is understanding your ideal customers and showing them what they need in order to choose you. And the more consistent you are with that, the more it builds in the back of their mind, you are the solution for what I need. And so, yeah, getting the whole company involved is the way to go if you want to build a brand that actually attracts and gets people to line up around the block. It's why, and I'm kind of going on a tangent, I'll get back to this in a minute, but it's why Apple does so well. And I call myself an iHore. Everything in my house is Apple. I've got Apple TV, MacBook, iPad, iPhone, and I'm pointing to them right now. I'm getting the new Mac monitor here soon. Like I'm a Mac guy, but I will be honest with you, the iPhone is not the most technologically advanced phone you can get on the market. Samsung, I think it's Samsung or Google, like actually both of them, might actually be a better product. What Apple does so well and why people line up around the block to buy their product is they understand branding more than product. They understand how to make you feel like this is the choice you need to have. Now, for a small business, you're not going to do everything Apple does, but like, let me give you an example of how they instill brand all the way down into the product level. If you walk into any Apple store and you're looking at a MacBook, they angle the MacBooks at, I think it's 76 degrees, the screen, that's about 76 degrees, which is not a comfortable viewing angle. Like you can't actually see what's on the screen. So what they do is they require you to touch it and move the screen. And by touching it, you feel that it's an aluminum case. You feel the quality as you're doing something as simple as, hey, I just need to move this screen so I can see what's on it better. That is a branding tactic to get you to feel and experience the product before you ever see what it can do. That's what we talk about when we're talking about branding. So I could go down this tangent all day, but like bringing it back here. So how you get to know your ideal customers. This is what we encourage all of our clients to do. First step is get your team together. Your sales, marketing, product, customer service, your C-suite, anyone that interacts with your client base or gets feedback from your clients, get them in the room and compile the insights you have already. Most times you are going to have maybe like 75% accuracy on the insights that already exist in your business. You're going to know things intuitively about them just from the conversations you've had or what you've seen worked and doesn't work. You're going to have those insights. So get a giant whiteboard. And I always tell our clients, like, no insight is a bad insight. We're not judging them at this point. We're not saying, oh, that's true or that's not true. We're just getting it all out there. If there's multiple ways to say it, say, marketing might say, oh, they're self-sufficient, and sales might say, well, they're go-getters. They do it. Put them both down. It means the same thing, but there are slight differences. So get everything written down. Then what you're going to do is kind of try to compile it all and say like, okay, 5 departments said this was true of our ideal customers. Let's take these 10 things and see if we can compile it down to saying it one way. Do that. Then you get them on the phone and you actually interview your ideal customers. And when I say ideal customers, let me clarify here. I don't mean prospective customers. When I say ideal customers, I mean you find that current customer you have that you're like, man, if all of our customers could be like this one, we would love our job, we would love our business, everything would run better. They're the customers that pay quickly, they pay more, they don't micromanage, they refer you. Like these are the, holy grail of clients. That's who you want to focus all of your marketing and branding around. Figure those out. Yes, there might be other clients you have, there might be other clients you will still take on, but all of your branding should be based on who do you actually want to attract more of. Get them on the phone and talk to them. The level of insights you will get by talking to your ideal customers are amazing. Let me give you one example of this. We were working with an insurance billing company that works with ABA clinics, which are clinics that work with children with autism. And in that model, for ABA clinics, 100% of their revenue comes from insurance. So if you do insurance billing incorrectly, you don't get paid as a clinic. So my client comes in, makes sure everything is accurate. So when they submit to insurance, they get their payment quickly. What we found out from their customers as we got them on the phone, we asked questions on like pricing, we asked questions on who are you and what are you after and why did you choose this company, all those kind of questions, which the next slide has a bunch of questions, so you'll get to see them. But what we found out from them was after about a year, and this is what the problem our customer came to us with, they said, hey, when we get a client up to about a year, they start churning and they don't stay with us and we don't understand why. So that was the main problem we were trying to solve. What we found out when we talked to their ideal clients was that at about a year mark, they were paying $100,000 in commission to our client. And in their brains, they said, hey, it's cheaper for us to hire someone internally to do this for $80,000 than continue working with them for $100,000. Great business decision, makes sense. I don't know any business owner that would be like, yeah, that's a bad idea. What we found out though in this process is that our client puts 5 people on the case for their customers. So when you're a customer of theirs, you don't have one person working on your billing, you have 5. We said, hey, your ideal customers don't even know that. We brought that up and they're like, yeah, they just have one person on our case. And it's like, no, they have 5. So what we told them to do was on their website and in their onboarding process, make it clear that there's 5 people working on your project. So very simply, because they're still in the process of getting their website redone, in their onboarding now, they have a PDF they send of here's the picture and bios of the 5 people working on your account. They haven't had any client churn since then. So understanding and talking to your ideal customers really is what you might think it's a product problem, you might think it's a marketing problem. It really could be an onboarding problem. It could be one small, like that tweak. What would that cost them? Maybe $5 to put together a flyer to send out to their ideal clients, save them thousands in revenue. So interview your ideal customers. Some of the questions you might want to ask, like, what problem were you facing that caused you to reach out? Why did you book a call with us? Like, there are other options. Why us? What made you choose us over the competition? What was the outcome you were trying to achieve? And then after that, when they give you an answer, here's why most marketing people, most founders suck at interviews. They take the first answer as the right answer, when really the first answer is often the surface level, top of mind. Yeah, I think that it was this. We always ask, whenever they answer, I always ask, why does that matter to you? Or could you explain that a little more? Or what do you mean by that? Digging deeper often will get you to the actual root cause. And so there's actually, when we do customer interviews, there's probably 10 questions we ask. Some are more geared specifically to the client and what they offer. But when you interview your ideal customers, always ask them when they answer, why is that important? Why does that matter? Keep going. Like, I like to ask that why question about 5 times to really get down to the core of why they chose you. Because ultimately, and we're not talking differentiation in this chat, but when it comes to that differentiation and understanding why people choose you, it's very rarely what you think. Most business founders, most marketers are like, well, it's because our product is great. It's because of our team. Sometimes from solopreneurs, I hear, oh, it's because of my personality. And I'm like, duh, that is not why they chose you. That might have been a sliver of a reason, but there is a much deeper reason why they chose you than just your personality. You need to dig deeper to understand the true answer. Because most people, if they're being interviewed, it's like, oh crap, I got to think of an answer. Here you go. It's usually not the right answer. So creating your brand personality, like first understand your ideal customers. sorry, I'm looking at my notes here because I've gone on so many tangents. Yeah, so building your brand personality then, how do you create a brand that actually attracts the right people? First and foremost, it's understanding that building a brand is not just you being yourself. I see this advice on LinkedIn all the time. It makes me cringe. It actually pisses me off because it tells, especially a lot of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, it tells them that you don't need a strategy. You don't need to figure this stuff out. Just be yourself and people will magically come to you. That is crap advice. Building a brand personality is not your personality. It's not even the personality of the business. It really is a mix of understanding what your ideal customers need and what attributes of what they need do you already reflect and do you already like are a part of you, and emphasizing those. So let me give you a concrete example of this. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you probably know #SassyJason. I swear most people engage with my content because they like my Sassy Jason posts more than they actually like me. In fact, I've had people tell me like, I like Sassy Jason, you're kind of okay. But it's this sassy persona that I've come up with on LinkedIn where I make fun of bad marketing, branding, and sales tactics. So I'll poke fun at the pitch slap DMs. I'll poke fun at people that are like, branding is just being yourself. It's not. Like, I like to make fun of that stuff. Reason being, here's why Sassy Jason is part of my my brand and why it's part of the Shift brand. What we know of our ideal customers is that they tend to be founders or leaders that don't know what they don't know. And 9 times out of 10, when I'm in discovery calls with prospective clients, what I hear from them is, I am not looking for a yes man. I am looking for someone that if I say something that is wrong, you will call me out on it and tell me I'm wrong. We had one client, how to describe this? It's an ERP for energy and sustainability. They basically have this SaaS platform for municipalities and colleges, help them tie everything together, be better at energy consumption and sustainability, all that kind of stuff. It's massive. And what they, when we were in the workshops, their CEO, when we were trying to figure out how are we going to describe you? What is that label? What's the category you're going to play in? Their CEO came in and said, we are an ERP and sustainability solution. That is what we're calling ourselves. And I sat there and I pulled up Google. I typed in ERP or energy sustainability solution. And one of the top results was a solar panel manufacturer. And I was like, is that your competition? Like, no, that's nothing to do with what we do. I'm like, then you are not an energy and sustainability solution. You are wrong. Here's why. Now, I'm not that much of a dick about it. Like, I'm nicer about it when I'm with clients, but it's basically showing them that I'm going to call you out when what you're saying is going to harm your business. One of the ways that you can portray that in content is by being sarcastic, by making fun of kind of these long held, like everyone says, just be yourself, just be authentic, it builds a brand. It doesn't. It's the entry level to a brand, but it doesn't actually create the brand for you. So calling that stuff out, having that kind of sarcastic twinge to everything I put out, what it communicates to people is this guy is not going to just say, like, take what I say and run with it. He's going to push back if what I'm saying is wrong. It's part of that. It's part of that brand personality. Now, if you know me, if you're a friend with me, I'm sarcastic. It is part of my personality, but I have other aspects of my personality as well that you don't see in my content because I'm trying to communicate something very specific when it comes to my brand personality. So how do you develop a brand personality that actually attracts your ideal customer and resonates with them? There's 3 questions that we take our clients through when we go through this process. One is, What is the baseline personality of your ideal customers? Who are they? Describe their personality, list everything you can. Next, you're going to ask what the challenge that they're in. How does that make them feel? So again, it's kind of two questions that we've already gone over of what you should know about your ideal customers. Ask those, figure out how does this make them feel? And then the third question is, what are they looking for from a brand who will provide the solution? So in this case, when we did this for ourselves, we asked, what are they looking for from someone who's going to build their brand? What is the personality that they're after? What's important to them? You're going to take everything you jotted down. Again, you're not judging it at this point. You're jotting down everything you know. You're going to take that then, and what you're going to do is you're going to match those to one of the 12 brand archetypes. Now, I could do a whole masterclass on brand archetypes. We don't have the time this morning. So basically, brand archetypes are based on psychological research from Carl Jung that basically said every personality type falls into one of these 12 archetypes. They are meant to be guiding, not like definitive. Every personality is exactly this, but it helps when it comes to branding to understand the personality that your brand kind of faces a little bit more. So what you have here are the 12 archetypes with their main personality types. So what we do is we say, okay, this question one, who are they just naturally? What we do is we figure out, we condense it down and say, okay, where do they fit on this chart? Maybe customer one question is they're intelligent, wise, and knowledgeable. That's who they are. So I put a C1 here. The next question was, how do they feel when they're in the challenge? Maybe when they're in the challenge, they're feeling, they're feeling confused. They feel like they don't know what they're doing. And so we figure out where does that fit, and we mark it C2. And then we ask, what are they looking for from a brand? Maybe they're looking for someone who's creative, imaginative, and original. So now we kind of see these are the brand archetypes that fit our client and that fit us. Then what we do is we determine, how do we want to show up? And this is going to come down to, what is the natural personality of your company? When you step back and you look at your company, who is the company naturally? Are you naturally creative? Are you naturally wise? Are you like the experts in your industry? Who are you naturally? Then we're going to look at how you want to show up. Will you show up as who they are now? I'm just like you. I'm funny. I'm intelligent. Like whatever their characteristics are before they're in the challenge, are you going to show up and connect with them on that level? We're just the same. Or are you going to show up as who they want to be? I'm your role model. What we found at Shift is that we show up as who they want to be. We show up as we know our business, we know our differentiation, we know our customers, we know what we're doing. We are the experts in the industry. And so if you want that level of expertise, you come to us. We connect there rather than who they're at, who like their personality now. So we kind of have this archetype of the rebel or the outlaw, because sassy, snarky, we like to come in and we like to say, hey, you're doing this wrong. Let's blow everything up and rebuild it. We like to challenge the status quo. What we found is most of our clients are doing the same in their category. They want to be rebels. They do things differently. They don't look at things the same. So we kind of connect with them in being a rebel, but then we're also a hero. And a hero is, you can be like me. You can achieve your dreams. I can help show you how. Those are our kind of personality types. So you take that. This comes from Iconic Fox. They are like a branding agency that does brand archetypes. They've done a lot of research on it. If you type brand archetypes into Google, you're going to see their resource that this picture was taken from. Like they have the main resource to do this. But what you do then is you figure out which archetype do you fit with the most? For us, it's outlaw and it's hero, are our two archetypes. Then what you do is you implement that through your tone of voice, your design, your experience, your marketing, your sales. You look at your differentiation, you look at that personality, and you say, okay, if we have to be sassy and snarky, that's part of our outlaw. If you go on the Shift website and you look at our page for our LinkedIn services, the very top bold headline that you're going to see on that page is most LinkedIn advice is shit. That's the copy at the top of our page. It's not, hey, here's LinkedIn services for you. It's coming right out of the bat. We are the outlaw. Everything you hear is crap. We know what we're talking about. We broke the normal system. We don't use selfies. We don't use fake stories. Here's what we're going to do, and here's how. So it's this mix of the outlaw, everything you know is shit, and the hero, we figured it out. We want to show you how to do it too, so you can be successful like us. That's how you take these personalities and embed it. Don't be afraid to be offensive. Like, don't be offensive just to be offensive. That's not a good strategy. But when you are the outlaw, you say, hey, it's okay if I ruffle a few feathers. I've had people come on my LinkedIn content and be like, well, I hate this sarcastic stuff. You come across as a frat boy. I actually had someone say this to me. You come off as a frat boy. And I'm like, if you know me, I am not a frat boy at all. Like, I was never even in a frat. I never went to frat parties. Like, that's not who I am. But as we kind of kept going, she's like, I would never work with you. My response was, that's okay. You're not an ideal customer. You would have thought I told her that her baby was ugly. Like, she was like, you are a horrible person. I hate you. How dare you say that? And I'm like, if you're a marketer, you understand I'm not going to waste my time with someone who's never going to give me their money, who's never going to trust me, who doesn't want to work with me. That's fine if you don't like my stuff. We're not going to work together. I don't care. I'm going to go after the people that connect with this personality, that connect with the solution that I'm bringing, because they're not just connecting with my solution, they're connecting with the personality of the business. So that's kind of how we do it. I was only supposed to spend 20 minutes talking, and I apparently spent like 48. So I'm going to shut up now and see if there's any other questions you guys have that I can try to answer before Nick shuts off the feed and is like, you're done, Jason, shut up.
No, it was really good. There is two other questions that I've seen. One is around, if you're entering a new market, would you compile that information based on pain points your ideal customers have with your competition? What else would you look at to build a key differentiator for your brand?
Yeah, so building a differentiation is a little different than what we talked about today. Understanding your differentiation is going to take market research, so knowing your ideal customers, and competitive research. And when you do competitive research, you're not necessarily looking at, yes, look at what they do well. But really what you're trying to look at is, what gaps are they missing in the marketplace? So to give you an example, that client I talked about earlier who they work with like construction companies and stuff, come in with the processes. There's a lot of companies that do that. And so when we were working on their differentiation, we looked at 5 competitors, looked at their websites, their social media, how they position themselves, what they claim is the reason to buy from them. And we found quite a few gaps in the market. One of the biggest ones was that all of their competitors come across as this suit and tie. We have all the answers, do exactly what we say. We don't care if your situation is different. Like, they all had that kind of feeling that came out. We're this big company, and like they highlight the founders, but you're actually working with a junior strategist when you work with them. And so we said, hey, for this company, what if you came in as the company that connects with them where they're at, the company they can trust and befriend and like build a relationship with, not this like we know exactly what we're doing, follow this 5-step program and you'll be fine. But the company that comes in and says, we're going to work directly with your employees, get their insights so that you as the founder, really what it came down to, their differentiation is most clients or most of their competitors work primarily with the leadership and the founders. They work primarily with the employees. So imagine if you are the founder of a construction company and you are spending 12-hour days trying to make sure that your company runs, and you know that you need help to build processes and get everything running smoothly. How do you think it would feel if a company came in and said, okay, now we need 20 hours of your time every week to make this work? That's going to feel very overwhelming. Like there's no way that I can give an extra 20 hours while I'm still doing this just to figure out a solution. So they're coming in and saying, we work directly with the employees. Yes, the leadership, we do like an hour-long meeting with the leadership every week to keep them updated, to get their insights and stuff. But we work primarily with the employees. So now when you work with this company as a founder, it's an extra hour a week of your time rather than an extra 20 hours a week of your time. That's a huge differentiation, especially going after the people that they're going after. And so we came across that based on what they're already doing, the processes and how they structure this. But we also noticed in the market that all of their competitors said, we work with your leadership team. And we're like, if we emphasize in all of your stuff that you work with the employees so that the founder doesn't have to take on an extra 20 hours worth of work every week, you're going to win, because every founder is going to look at that and be like, I can squeeze in an extra hour. I can't squeeze in an extra 20 hours. So that's how you kind of find this differentiation, especially if you're going into a new market. Look at those competitors and see who they're attracting, get on their social media. What kind of people are they attracting? See where people, like, look at review sites if they exist in your market. What are people complaining about? To see where you can kind of come in and be like, yeah, we actually already do that, but everyone's complaining that the competitors don't. That's what we want to highlight in our brand.
Very helpful. I know we only have a couple of minutes left. I know Kyle threw another question in here. It may be a little long if we can, I guess. If we need
I'm fine with sticking around a little long if we need to.
Cool. So it says, I'm curious what tactics outside of the cross-functional workshops have you used to overcome this reluctance among cross-functional partners? What are some common objections have you run into?
So a lot of the common objections come from not really understanding what a brand is. And so really right from the start and in those workshops, we explain to people what a brand is, and we drill it into their heads that this is not a marketing thing. This is a whole company initiative. So some of it's just education. We teach them how to instill this and like why you need to instill this throughout the whole company. We include them in the process. So even not just in the workshops, but like when we create our insights document, which is here's everything we pulled from the workshop. Here's some of the messaging we're thinking about. Here's some of the touch points we think you should develop. Here's some of the operational things that maybe you should change based on what was in the workshop. We give that to the entire team and we ask for everyone's feedback. So one is just we incorporate them into the process. The other is for companies that that are bigger and not fully bought into this, we kind of go department by department. And so we do the main brand strategy up front, and then we go department by department and say, okay, you sat in on these workshops, you know that this is the differentiation. Let's look at how we can implement that in the operational side. What does that mean? Now, we're not coming in to upend operations and say, we're going to blow it all away and redo it all. But it's like, what are one or two things we could do that's going to help your ideal customers choose you more? And so what tends to happen is as we develop like maybe one thing in operations, like, hey, your onboarding side sucks. So let's tweak this one thing in onboarding to see if more clients are coming from a freemium account to a paid account, or are we seeing, especially in the SaaS, SaaS is where we get most of the kickback. So these examples are going to be mostly SaaS, but so it might be like, hey, you're having an issue where you're getting people signing up, but they're not fully using the platform. They're only using a few features, or the whole company isn't involved. Well, that might be an onboarding issue. So let's look at the operational side of onboarding and see, is there a way that we can improve that functionality so that you see more customers fully embracing your solution and staying longer, buying more seats, using more features? When we can come up with, if we come up with like one thing that works, then they come back to us and say, okay, we're bought in, this worked, this one idea, we've seen an uptick, what else you got? So a lot of times it is just one small tweak. Hey, just do this one quick video and see if you get more people, or change this one flow. So for that ERP, that energy sustainability company example, they're one that had like horrendous onboarding. Their onboarding process took like 2 months. It was multiple meetings. It was sloppy. I was like, if I onboarded clients to my company this way, I would be broke. Like, there's no way we would even start a project. And what they were seeing is maybe 1 or 2 departments used it, but the rest of the college or the rest of the municipality didn't. And so we helped them come up with a few like solutions for their onboarding process, where as they implemented it, they saw an uptick in more people using more functions in the platform, more departments kind of embracing it and using it. So then they came back and said, what else you got? These first few things worked, help us. So a lot of times it's just going department by department and coming up with one idea, could be small, that they're like, okay, fine, I'll try it and see. And as it generates results, it's like, okay, maybe this whole brand strategy thing isn't too bad after all. So little things like that, like when you come in and you say, I want to change all of operations, they're like, get out. But when you come in and say, hey, if we could tweak this one little thing, and we have research that says like our ideal clients see that this is an issue, then it makes it easier to get more buy-in from the rest of the company. So like one of the clients, I'm finishing up their brand strategy next week. Well, we found when I sat within one of his clients who is ideal, I asked him about the sales process. Like, why did you choose them? And he was like, listen, their sales process sucks, horrendous. He's like, I sat on an hour-long call with the founder. He went into all this technical detail. I got off the call and didn't know at all how their solution could help me. The only reason we went with them is the founder of our company is friends with him and understands the platform because he's seen it and played with it. He's like, if it would have been up to me, we would have gone with a competitor. So for us, it's like, hey, your sales process is hindering growth. So let's dive into your sales process and figure out what needs to be fixed. Your customers will tell you what's broken. Lean into those insights and then figure out, how do we fix this? So like for that situation, it's their brand strategy leans very heavily on fixing the sales process, because it is cutting you off at the kneecaps when it comes to clients actually prospects converting into clients. So if you've got information from your ideal customers that says this sucks, use it as data to say, clients say this sucks, we need to fix something, let's fix it. Otherwise, come up with one small thing you could tweak, and if it gets results, they usually come back. It's like, okay, you're right, let's do something. So that's kind of the tactics we use when there's a lot of objections.
Cool. That was awesome. Honestly, it was good. I know we're up at the top of the hour. Anyone that's not following Jason, please go do so. He's on Twitter, He's on LinkedIn, Jason Vanna. You can't mess him. Really great content. Go check out Shift as well. I've known Jason for years, so it's good to finally do this. We will also share the recording with everyone as well. And that's it. We will catch you next time. Jason, thank you again.
Awesome.
And honestly, thanks
Thank you.
everyone. People love this. So thanks again for everything. And for those that are celebrating the 4th of July, enjoy the long weekend if you have one. And we'll catch you all soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Enjoyed it.